this is the heartbreaking part. The heartbreaking part is that medication,
Yeah,
when you're off of disability, you have to find an insurance company and pay the premium to then keep it.
sure.
And if you don't have the stipend and you don't have a savings, there's no medication to get. You can't afford it. So that's the real heartbreak is even though it exists, now what?
The road to leadership is never a straight line. On this podcast, I'm interviewing the world's most interesting leaders about their mountaintop moments, their stumbling blocks, and everything in between. I'm Jonathan Block, and this is Stumbling Blocks, How Great Leaders Are Made. Welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Pete Proimos. For 35 years, Pete hid a fatal secret. As you know, if you listen to part 1, Pete hid a lifelong battle with the genetic disease cystic fibrosis, which is remarkable because he is also the successful CEO of a large automotive manufacturing company that he recently sold to Warren Buffett's conglomerate, Berkshire Hathaway. Yesterday, in part 1 of the conversation, we heard Pete talking about finding the thing that broke his heart and refusing to look away. And today we'll hear specifically about what that meant for Pete, about the foundation he launched, and about how he wants to give back to the world more than cystic fibrosis will take from him, which is especially remarkable because, as you'll hear him say, cystic fibrosis will eventually take his life. This Sunday, December 14, Pete and the Filotimo Foundation are hosting a national lung run to raise money to support folks with cystic fibrosis. A link is in the show notes. And now, over to Pete. So many folks with CF are stuck in this terrible no-win scenario where either they stay on Medicaid and don't work, but don't take the pill,
Mhm.
or they choose to take the pill, get healthier. Getting healthier means that they lose their health insurance, and then they don't have enough money to pay for health insurance, or that they get on health insurance and can't afford it. That's sort of the pickle, right? That's the conundrum. And so
Yeah.
that is the heartbreaking part. And so what have you done about that? You say, look at the thing
So,
that breaks your heart if you just
yeah.
look away. What'd you do?
Uh, I I got online during COVID, and as I was reading these things, I had a great therapist at the time, and she said, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" And I said, "I don't know." She goes, "Well, just help one person see how it makes you feel. If it makes you feel good, help two people." So I would go on these like either Instagram or the meta world or find these people making comments and saying like my rent, I need $500 or I have to like figure out a way to find it and I'm going to miss work because I'm in the hospital. Like it's just this thing. And I just started helping quietly. I would either use my credit card. I pulled out my credit card and anytime I could pay for something, a utility, a gift card for food, I was using a credit card or an Amazon account and sending it to them and just did it quietly. And, through that, something really beautiful happened and people would see it, which I did not want credit for it. I never promoted it in any way. Every conversation I had was, look, I want to help. Nobody needs to know but you and me. I don't need anyone to know as long as you do. And really 1 became 2, 2 became 5, 5 became, uh, another person understanding what I was doing and saying, "Look, I don't have the bandwidth, but here's $500." And I thought, "Well, where am I gonna put the $500? I don't know how to deal with, somebody giving me money to then repurpose. Like, what's the implications of that?" So, I started a nonprofit so we can collect the cash and then redistribute it. And we as a family have really invested money, time, and effort into this program. And really, it's just like a safe haven for people that when they're when that thing does break their heart, you know, we have a place for them to go so we can repurpose and help them structure their own giving or their own efforts or volunteerism to something that is important to them. And so we mind that gap. We, if you are trying to work an hourly shift, you want to take the medications and the therapies to stay off of disability and be an independent human. And let's say you get sick, so you're hospitalized, you don't get paid, and you get a medical bill on top of it for the visit. We will help you catch back up and get you to that place. It doesn't matter if it's a tire that popped. I don't care if you're at the mechanic and you need $400 there. I don't care if you haven't paid $1,500 worth of utility payment. Whatever you need to just keep going, we are there for that. And that's half of what we do.
That's so cool. So tell us about, when you say we are there for that, who is we now? What
So
did you start?
uh, so the name of the foundation is the Filotimo Foundation. It's a Greek word because of my parents being Greek immigrants and our background being Greek. It means to help someone and expect nothing in return. It is the idea that you leave someone better than you found them. That's it. And that's how we've really survived in this program is we just do what's right. Sometimes at a consequence to us. Sometimes we may be taken advantage of, but it doesn't matter because there is that one person out there that really, really needs help and we help them. And it pays us back in dividends, whether it's spreading the word and getting to other people with CF or helping us find partners that are interested. We've had a lot of really, really good relationships come from word of mouth. And then from there, it's pharma companies wanting to help. It's local businesses hearing about us and understanding what we're doing and wanting to help. Uh, it's not always money. It's the money will come if you do the right things. The universe has a way of making it work out for you and really help when you're doing good things for people, I believe.
So you run the Filotimo Foundation.
Mm.
What if someone with CF needed to catch up, like you just said, like suppose they have a job and they are go to the hospital. How do they reach out to you? How do they get help from
So
Filotimo
there's two
Foundation?
ways. So how we work is we onboard hospitals, not patients. And the reason being is I can't talk to someone in the state of Washington. University of Washington is the single biggest hospital for adults with cystic fibrosis in the whole country. It has over 500 patients.
Wow.
So we onboard the hospital and a patient will reach out to our request assistance page. There's really two ways you can find us. One is the request assistance page, and the other one is when you're in clinic, the social worker will send us a message. That's the two ways. And how we work is we onboard the hospital, we get a relationship with the social worker, and I take every single request. And I will say, hey, this person's reached out. Don't forget, social worker, is this a patient? Yes. Okay. Don't forget that for every dollar that we give, we take away from someone else. The money's finite. If you think this person needs $200 for food, great. If you think they don't need it and they're just tapping into every resource they can because they want to, let me know. If if you have another problem that they're not talking about, tell us. Maybe there's something else we can do. We're really trying to ask that second question because I have CF and I'm taking the requests. I will say to a patient, look, man, you asked me twice for $200 gift card for food. What is wrong? And you'll
Man,
find, like, there was a guy that said, I need a scooter. My electric scooter is what got me to work. I'm just trying to like save up for that. And the last thing that goes off is food. Like I
man.
just don't have money for food because I'm trying to play catch up on everything else and rob Peter to pay Paul. And so I'll say, okay, well, let's fix that. Let's get you the scooter. Let's catch you up. And maybe that's $3,000, not $300 for food. So we like to ask that second question because maybe I fixed something that was so broken that he never has to ask me for anything again.
Yeah.
And it was a real help. It wasn't a band-aid. And we really pride ourselves on that.
What's so interesting is that just as your parents sort of moved upstream
Yeah.
from working in buying a service station, buying another service station, moving up the manufacturing chain, buying the manufacturer, you're sort of doing the same thing with problem solving, right? Instead of just
Whoa.
saying, "Hey, what's the bottom line problem? Do you
Yeah.
need food?" You're moving up. You're moving upstream and saying, "Hey, why do you need food? Oh, it's because you're putting all your money aside to
That's
buy
so
your
smart.
scooter." It's actually really cool.
That's so
Super
smart.
cool.
I had never thought of it that way.
Well, it's you're the one doing it. It's awesome, man. So I want to go to when you're working in the company for a second
Yeah.
because this is fascinating. You're working in your family company. You're working your way up.
Mhm.
You become a salesperson and then an executive at the company. And the whole time for 40 years, you hide from the
Yeah.
company that you run that you have CF. What was
Yeah.
that like?
Here's the deal. My dad was CEO. I already had a target on my back of being the spoiled kid of the CEO. So trying to make a name for yourself and really trying your hardest to make it. The thing I was worried about with having a chronic disease where they would say, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't be honest with this person. Maybe I'll offend him. Like, I don't want to put him in a tough situation of anxiety." I felt like I would receive that a little bit as well, being the son of the CEO.
Sure.
So it really wasn't until 2016, after we sold the first time and my dad had to step back and I stepped in a lot heavier, when I really got that ownership of like, okay, these guys are now yelling at me. They're really giving me that like extra push to get what they need. I started feeling normal. Like okay, I'm actually doing this on my own merits. And what they didn't see was every morning at 7 a.m., I had a nebulizer treatment. Every afternoon at lunch, I was trying to stay away from dairy because it's a phlegm producer. Every night at dinner, they were getting these heavy steaks, and my body just can't handle it. So I was eating, fish or salad, and they're making fun of me, obviously, because they're these grown men, these grown, overweight, manly men, and they're like, "Why are you eating a steak? It's a steakhouse." Because I don't want a steak in a steakhouse. I'm gonna end up looking like you, which I'm getting close to it now. But it was a lot of that, and then I'd go home. Or I'm sorry, I'd go in the hotel. I was traveling 4 days a week. I'd go in the hotel and I would just crash. I mean, I was drinking a ton of water to catch up on my salt intake. I was doing potentially a nebulizer treatment because the plane was it was so dry in the plane, and maybe I was in an arid climate, and then I'd
What does
have
that
to do.
mean in a nebulizer treatment? What does that mean?
So there's a like a nebulizer device, and then it has a hose, and then you take a mouthpiece and you're inhaling whether it's an antibiotic or saline salt, and you just inhale it so your lungs can absorb it. And then what happens is it the saline, the high amounts of saline, both irritate your airways so you can cough harder and deeper, but it also uh like if you did saline in your nose, your mucous membranes, what it's doing is drying out your mucous membranes and bringing the water to the surface so you can then cough or spit or sneeze out whatever that mucus is that's stopping your cilia from working, or your turbinates in your nose, or whatever the case may be to get you to breathe. So we with CF, we have these items, devices, therapies that are available to us, whether it's putting an inhaler to try to get inhaled steroids in to open you up, or some people really like saltwater climate, the beach. Other people like very dry climate. Uh, when I go to specifically like Las Vegas or Arizona or uh, Nevada in general, I'll get that like very shallow breathing and deep cough because I'm just dehydrated all the time.
Yeah.
So it's just things I have to navigate through. I always had a water bottle, always making fun of me about the water bottle, but I felt good.
But behind the scenes, they don't see that you're actually schlepping with you a nebulizer machine in your
You
hotel
got it.
room that is
You
making
got
you
it.
cough your lungs out in the morning
Mhm.
before you meet them. You're coughing your lungs out when you're around corners and they can't see you. Like you're
Yep.
hiding a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Now imagine
And so
being that's me at 30. Imagine like the 12-year-old doing the same thing. And not just me. A lot of people. They'll I would have coughing fits. You'd fake a laugh to cough while you're laughing because you had to get something out and you're around your friends. Or you ask to go to the bathroom and they're like, "Oh my God, you're going to the bathroom again?" And then you're like, "Yeah." And then you go have a coughing fit. Or you'd you learn these tricks like
yeah,
cold soda water helps calm down my chest. Taking off your shirt and like laying on something cold will calm down your chest. Standing on the corner of a room, like a corner of a wall, and like pushing your chest back to try to open your airways a little bit from coughing and hunching so much. It's a trick. But you do these things like in the midst of the day, and no one
yeah,
really knows that you're dealing with this thing, but you never gave them the option to. So it's my fault.
sure.
But um I was
But you
more
did what you
cons
had to do to survive in many
yeah.
senses.
I was
Yeah.
more concerned about the reaction rather than and the negative side of it than someone actually showing up
Yeah.
and focusing on the other. Like, uh, my friend Jamie said to me one time, she goes, everybody's worried about worst case scenario and the worst thing that could happen. But what if you said, well, what if this is the best thing that ever happened? And that's a very hard thing to think about, a very hard paradigm shift in your brain to say, like, let me let me be let down. I don't know.
So walk us through what's it like when you decide to tell the world, to tell your colleagues for the first time when you're 40 that you
Ugh.
have CF? Walk us through that.
So it was hard. I, when I started telling people I had CF, I got really depressed during COVID. And one of the questions that they ask is, do you have food? Are you food insecure? Uh, do you feel safe at home? And do you have someplace to sleep and live? If the answer to any of those questions is no, they would direct you to a foundation. We were lucky at UNC in North Carolina that we had a foundation there. Not us. It was a different foundation, the Lynx. It was Spiritus. And their daughter passed away from cystic fibrosis, and they started a fund that helped adults with CF do exactly what I'm doing. But they were retiring.
Mm.
And in that, we had just sold the company the first time. Uh, I was like 2 years out. No, I was a year out of working for the new the first sale. And I they were trying to wind down. They were hitting the 10-year mark. And I thought, well, maybe I can take it over. It's just UNC. It's not big, a
Mhm.
couple $1,000s a year. I obviously was doing it with the credit cards. So it
Yeah.
was just like kismet. And so I did. And I started helping people on my own. And what happened was no one still knew I had CF.
Hmm.
And as I went to potential partners, and I would say, look, Nestle that does Boost and Insure, I need some shakes. I would love some shakes. I want to create a program. I want to pay for them, but I would love a discount because every dollar we save is a dollar that goes towards another patient. And they would say, okay, well, what's the connection? I go, I just started this nonprofit. It helps people with cystic fibrosis. Well, yeah, but what's the connection? I go, I got
Mm.
to, it's personal. It's close to me. Like it sits very close to me. Okay. I get nothing. And then I went to a fertility clinic because men with cystic fibrosis, they have a non-developed vas deferens. So anything with a tube, it gets clogged. And because we're children, it doesn't work. So it stays clogged, it doesn't develop. And then you have this thing. You have an absence of the vas deferens, and then you have to get a sperm retrieval in order to have children. It's a requirement. So I went to the fertility clinic and I said, look, I think I want to go through this route of like having uh, a support program for men and women to have babies, healthy babies with like free of cystic fibrosis. Can you help? And they said, you're a guy out of the street. What are you talking about? Like, what? And then at that point, at that moment, it just nothing was working. So I said, your reproductive urologist, Matt Coward, gave me my 3 kids. He gave me I had a sperm retrieval from him. He switched hospitals from where he was at to here. I am loyal to him in perpetuity. I have CF and I want to be able to give it to someone else. And if I don't have that nurturing program that people can be taken care of and trust that I'm sending you patients with a chronic disease and you can take care of it, I will pay that bill. And they said, great, done, whatever you need. Left that day, we had a program and I used it for a patient 2 weeks later. And since
Unbelievable.
then, uh, anecdotally, so when you talk about like funding and money and how it works, fertility is very expensive. It's $25,000 to $30,000. But I don't care. I'm
Mm.
unapologetic about it. I ask for discounts successfully. I repurpose every single dollar that we get in savings to another patient. We as a family have pledged operational expenses for the next 10 years. So every single dollar donated is a dollar goes straight to a patient. So I feel very good about that. But we helped a couple And we will ask that question, of this amount, how much can you afford? Every dollar that you take is a dollar towards someone else. So please be a custodian of ours as well and take what you need. And the guy said in an email, I don't have $500. We will not have a baby if you don't help. I said, okay. So we did. Their story was fairly easy. Obviously, fertility, IVF in general is not easy, especially for the woman.
Mhm.
But and I want to be sensitive to that when I say this, but it was quick. He did a sperm retrieval, and within 15, 16 months, they had a baby.
Wow.
It was great. It was a great success story. Clearly, that does not happen
Sure.
ever. I would
Sure.
say ever. There's always a journey. Uh, and one day, right before the holidays, like the Christmas holidays, and um, I got a donation for $600. And just like every other donation, I'll send a note and I'll say, "Hey, look, thank you so much. Obviously, we're so grateful, but what's your connection to cystic fibrosis?" And she said, her name was Nancy, and she said, "You gave me my grandson, and I will give you $600 until I pay you back."
Oh my gosh.
So those are the more important. That is a emotional connection to someone
Yeah.
that money doesn't matter on either side of it, where we're connected now.
Yeah.
And if I needed something, if the foundation needed something, I could tap into those people and say, look, I know I said money's not important. I know I said we don't need volunteers, but I need you now. And they'll be there because
Yeah.
I know that. There have been situations even this year where we've said, hey, look, we're running this program, it's working, we need help. And we ran a fundraiser and we raised $1.4 million and we're repurposing all of it to patients with cystic fibrosis. I hope this thing goes broke and we just have to refill it with cash. So that's been, I think, the biggest thing
Yeah.
is really trying to support and help those people. And if we closed tomorrow, we did the best we could, but I have no intention of stopping.
I love that.
So
Pete, you've done a lot of work in the infertility space and helping people with CF build families, both through IVF and also through adoption. Can you tell us a little bit about your work to fund adoptions for folks with
yes,
CF? It's near and
yes.
dear to my heart, as you know.
And mine as well.
Yeah.
I so in the process of we talked about earlier the 90% versus 10% that are forgotten.
Hmm.
There's also a family building aspect to that where it's the 90% and the 10% are forgotten. And it is the people that either have had a bilateral lung transplant or their bodies can't handle it, or maybe their story is that they don't want to have children, they want to adopt.
Hmm.
And a person came up to me uh, and said, we want to have a baby. It's not in our journey to do fertility, but what do you do for families wanting to adopt? And I said, I don't do anything. I've never been approached by it. But if you stick with me, we will do it together. And that is Nicole Core, who has CF. She's a bilateral lung recipient. And she said, I want a baby. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. And we did it. She had a baby. And who better to find when a kid's sick and needs to be adopted, or there's an issue with a child that needs to be addressed, who better to take care of that child than someone who is sick and has dealt with chronic disease their whole life and knows how to manage through the fire of problems
Yeah.
and say like, no, you're worth being loved. Uh, I'm worth being loved and I want to take you into our family. Nicole Core really opened my eyes to that. And then when I met Pam Devereaux, who's at Gift of Adoption and a saint, she and Brian Murphy really, really nurtured the CF community. And we have a couple people in the program now. And we help, and Gift of
So
Adoption
Gift of
helps
Adoption is
manage that rare disease.
it's a grant making organization that makes grants to families for those who aren't familiar. Gift of Adoption makes grants to families who want to adopt but otherwise can't afford it. but are qualified and ready to adopt and just can't afford it. And so the relationship that y'all have
Yeah.
now is that um, you've worked with Gift of Adoption to help fund adoptions by people who have CF and maybe otherwise
Yeah.
couldn't build a family. So cool. So cool.
Yeah. So
That's,
how
that's
we work
amazing.
with gift of adoption specific is we have a fund with gift of adoption, and then if they have a patient that reaches out, or a person, I'm sorry, a family that reaches out through the gift of adoption portal, they send them to us. We confirm CF diagnosis, and then we send them back and say approved, go for it, and vice versa. If they
Yeah.
come to us, we approve them, and then we send them to gift of adoption, and that whole team is just waiting patiently, impatiently in some respects, to say like, let's start helping these families now. And it's been an incredible, incredible partnership and relationship with gift of adoption. And it's taught me that, everyone deserves a family.
Yeah. Well, Pete, your the arc of your journey is extraordinary, right? From having CF, finding out that you had 5 years left to live and you're 13, working in the family business, selling the family business, and then looking at something that broke your heart and never looking away. Um, I want to go back to 19-year-old you who
Mm,
thought that he was going to die very soon. What would you go back and tell 19-year-old Pete?
it's hard. It's lonely, but it's not just you. There's other people out there going through the exact same thing. And if you can pull yourself out of it, if you can pull yourself out of it and get to the other side, there's an entire world waiting for you where you can help people go through the same thing you're going through. And just get up, move, keep moving until you find that one spot, because it's coming and you'll know when it hits. And when it does, wake up. And hopefully 38-year-old me heard that, and that's when it all happened. So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
have two more questions for you. So I want to go to that moment of wake up for you, where you decided to tell the world that you had CF. You're not going to hide anymore. You're not going to hide from people that you're eating, that you're eating differently, that you're coughing differently, that you're
Yeah.
exercising differently, everything. You decide not to hide anymore. What would you tell someone else who maybe is hiding something similar, a life altering
Uh,
diagnosis, something like that?
man. Well, in the beginning, it was met with mixed reviews. I'd been hiding something for 20, 25 years, and then I'm dropping it on someone, and it's the reaction you're expecting after prepping this speech is a hug or love or whatever, and it's just shock.
Mm,
And the response isn't what you expected. And so it's almost, you almost feel like you were let down or disheartened, or you feel terrible about it. But really, it's a function of like what I experienced based on expectations, and it wasn't right. So it's very, very hard to really understand like what you're supposed to expect.
yeah,
So telling someone that has CF that you have CF is a very, very good way to start to get the reactions you need. So when you do start telling people, you don't have to worry or need that hug, that emotional conversation. It's more like, hey, look, I know you're processing it. Let's talk about it when you're ready, rather than like, here's all my cards. They're just like, I need you to react the way I need it now.
yeah,
This,
yeah,
yeah, or I'm gonna feel terrible. And that's the way I handled it, and I shouldn't have, but it was, I didn't know, it was uncharted territory.
sure.
So, I think that's the biggest thing, is trying to have that conversation with people that wanna do it. It's find a very nurturing network of people with CF that, or without CF, with other things going on in their lives, where they can say, "Yep, I'm going through this too. I know what you're going through."
And Pete, when all is said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
Uh, this foundation is something that is helping people, but selfishly, I don't know how much time I have left. I have no idea. At some point, my body's gonna, according to data, at some point my body's gonna start shutting down, and I'm gonna have to slow down. And this day-to-day grind is not gonna be possible for me. I have 3 kids, 3 healthy kids, and if I can find a way in the next 10 years to create something that they can have when I'm gone, and it keeps them together, and potentially find something that took their dad, but it created something more beautiful than what it took. I think that's the biggest thing. That's the most important thing I need, is just those 3 people knowing that I created something that they can shut down tomorrow morning, but I created something that hopefully made them feel like we gave rather than the disease took.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much, Pete. It's you're incredible. Thank you so much.
I'm not a good person. I'm just trying to be. I think if I live in that area the rest of my life, I'll be happy. But
Well
no.
said.
Yeah.
Well said. I'm in awe of Pete's bravery, his candor, and the legacy he's building of offering help and hope to others, expecting nothing in return. And I hope that you were too. My next conversation will be with Doug Conant, the former CEO of Campbell's Soup. He lost his job at age 40 and went on to become CEO of Campbell's Soup. He talks about that transformation, and he talks about how he led at Campbell's, turning around the company's suffering financial performance, repairing its toxic culture, and writing more than 10,000 handwritten thank you notes to his employees while he was CEO. So if you've ever lost a job, wondered how to turn around a toxic culture, or just wondered how to better engage your people, this conversation's for you. I hope you'll tune in.